legendary.
Fresh off his Hall of Fame induction, class of 2024. Vince Carter is here right now.
Thank you, thank you,
Woo!
thank you,
Congrats,
thank you.
congrats, congrats.
Appreciate it.
Okay, let's just take us through the day. Like anything shocking, anything
Take you
surprising?
through
Was
the
it
day.
chill? Yeah, yeah.
Nah, it wasn't chill. It was nothing chill. Okay. It gave off the feeling like your first year, your first time going to All Star. It just pulled in different directions. I got there. Well, I was supposed to get there on Thursday, so I wouldn't have to feel like I was rushing. But obviously, being here in Florida, it was a big old hurricane, so I couldn't get out there. So Friday, I got there, and from the time that I landed in Connecticut, it was go mode, and I was like done at like midnight every night, just stuff that we had to do. Saturday was just it was just Saturday was it was busy. I mean, it's just like I think I had an hour sleep, throughout the day for a nap because you're just so tired. And I'm gonna tell you, one of the greatest feelings though, is I told, I asked T Mac, I said, look, when you put that jacket on for the first time, how did you feel? Like I remember like putting my first arm in, and it's like I started getting chills, and I just felt like I had a superpower all of a sudden. Like it was just like, oh, this is different. Like it's like this is a jacket like everyone, like any other jacket, but at the same time, it's not. And it was just an unbelievable feeling watching my kids, especially my son. Like, man, that little dude was like, Dad, I'm proud of you, man. He's 7. Like he was like living in the moment. He made best friends with Dr. J. Like everybody, like man, like
Of course.
it was a crazy, crazy week. And I was emotional. Everybody saw it, and I'll tell why. I was emotional Sunday on the red carpet right before walking in. It's because of my kid, man. So he's 7. He's been around for I think he saw me play in Atlanta, so he was like 2, maybe 3. But man, he put his hand on my shoulder right before we got out of the car, and it was raining. And he's like, Dad, you know what? You're going from an all-star to a Hall of Famer. That's pretty cool. And I never really thought about it like that. Like, but this is a 7-year-old with his perspective of the evening, and it was like, whoa, this is crazy. Not an adult told me that, and like it was just like a great moment from you hearing this from your young kid, not my oldest, my young kid, and I was just glad I kind of got all of that out before the my speech instead of during, because like man, that speech would have been a long speech.
Been a long speech. That's actually kind of adorable. There was a moment for basketball nerds. We were just like, oh, it's Michael Jordan and Vince Carter. This is so cool. We love that, by the way.
Yeah.
Can you share anything? Anything he said? Anything you guys? I know some of it's private, but maybe something.
I have so I with my kids and my family in general wanted to meet Mike. So I was like, yeah, let's go over there and meet Mike and say what's up. So I'm introducing everyone. How you doing? How you doing? Meets my kid. So oh man, how do I say? Oh man. All right. So little man says to big sis, she was like, Dad, he's darker than I expected.
I was thinking the same thing, BZ.
Observations.
I was like, what you say? He was like, Dad, he looks darker than I thought. So, he's starting to play video games and you see him, but he got to see Mike live and in person. And I was like, man, that's why they call him Black Jesus, man. Like, that's why he's, that's why he's Black Cat. He's like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, yeah. So that was kind of the highlight of Saturday. That was Saturday. And Sunday, I think, going back and watching I haven't watched the whole speech because, I hate hearing myself talk all the time, but watching some highlights and clips of him, seeing him sitting, front row on the edge of his seat, watching and listening and hanging on to every word that I was saying was pretty cool for a 7-year-old to really, to have sat there for 2.5 hours. Cause I was last, so 3-hour show, I was 2 hours and, 2.5 hours of just trying to lock in to actually have to lock in. So it was pretty cool watching him enjoy the moment and actually become best friends with Dr. J. Like I said, like Monday we get home, he's like, Dad, can you call Dr. J? I want to talk to him. Like, yeah, sure. Let me call Dr. J for you. So it was just cool to see him and Doc just have those moments throughout the entire show.
Amazing.
BC, there was also a moment during your speech where T-Mac interrupted you. And I have to, I have to know what he said. What was this all about?
So we were talking about, I was talking about, coming from Florida, which was a football state, and it was big time football state, and as you know, Chandler, and in those times, and basketball was kind of secondary, and we didn't get the respect like we do now. And I said, well, I played football. And he was like, yeah, all right. You know, something like that. I'm like, I'm out loud. I'm like, what? What? Like, you know, T-Mac was a pretty good football player. There's always kind of been a back and forth because, you know, he played quarterback, I played quarterback, and he's always talking about he's the better quarterback and better, you know, better athlete and all that, blah, blah, blah. So, but I guess that was the, you know, what we do. And I didn't, you know, it felt like we're just sitting on the couch and I heard him. That's I was like, what? But it kind of broke the ice and just kind of made everything flow seamlessly.
And you talk about Mac. He was the first person you think in your speech. How important was their relationship, especially your first season together? How important was that relationship to your career?
That was the correlation. I mean, he was the first, you know, to really, I don't want to say believe, but when we found out we were cousins, he goes on and plays his rookie year, calling me all season at Carolina, and him telling me, I'm going to make sure they draft you. I'm going to make sure you draft him. So ball out, do your thing. To it actually happening, till getting there to Toronto. And that's obviously we were just together, inseparable, doing our thing, to always being in contact, to obviously life moving on and still being cousins. So obviously he was the first person I asked, and he was the first person. First of all, he was the first person I wanted to acknowledge because, you know, Doc is Doc, and Doc deserve to go last amongst those two.
That's you said you're going to the Hall as a Raptor. So was there ever a doubt?
Yeah.
I mean, what does that organization mean to you? And did you have to think about it?
Well, let's start by saying this. It all started breaking news because Lou Will asked the question. So Lou, like, many thanks to you. I mean, it was understood for me, but Lou asked that question and it went viral at that moment. So it was already understood. It was a no-brainer to me. Like I said, that's where it started. I became Vinsanity. I had I learned the ropes, and just history and everything started right there. So it only made sense to go in as a Raptor. So Lou, I thank you first for getting the buzz started. But you know, that was it's Toronto or nothing.
Toronto or nothing. I always think there's pressure, like with a speech like that, where you basically have to take your whole career into some words and thank everybody.
In 10 minutes.
The pressure. Exactly.
Right.
So the pressure to thank everyone. Did you miss anyone? Did somebody text you afterwards and be like, dude, come on, you totally, okay. So how's that work?
But so a lot of things, I missed a few people. Like I said, I wanted to preface by saying, thank you. I had 261 teammates, so I was not going to be able to mention all of them. So I start there. There's a lot of family. I mean, my family and extended family. So there's so many people. That's why I wanted to be general in specific situations. I mean, I really thought it out. I wanted to shout out Grant Hill and also Mark Spears, you know, because they were the ones that say, look, take your time with this. They're gonna say it's gonna be 10 minutes. By the time after I finished with Roy Williams, at that point, I looked up at the clock. It was 5 minutes and 40 seconds left. I was like, I wasn't even halfway done yet. I was like, nope. But I took my time and I got through it. I was like, this is my moment. I don't get to have this opportunity back. I don't get a redo. And it's like, how can you say 22 years of the NBA, 3 years of college, the Olympics, high school, then you get your family and friends. So I was like, well, they're just going to have to wave the red flag like my guy, Doug Collins. They had the wrap up now sign up there for him. And I was like, it's going to have to be that.
You went on forever.
You had to wrap up now. But like, yeah, man, they were. It was crazy. And but I said, I understood the moment and I understood the closer. I'm like, I'm comfortable being a closer. I've been there before. But at the same time, the pressure of delivering a closing speech was important to me. And there was an art. If you think about it, I was going. I got to the family members, and I happened to scan the room, and I looked up to the left, and she has her. I happened to see her. I was like, oh, and you are Aaron. I love you. You're the best. Like that. It was one of those. Like I was like, yo, this is crazy. But it just caught up in the moment because I had an outline of how I wanted to go about it and things like that. And I was like, I'm just going to speak from the heart. But then I knew pressure situation. This is this speech was like none other. So I started writing. And there was other members, but I was like, you guys will be okay. You know, as long as I got the main.
Do you know how long your speech was, by the way? Do you know how long
it was? Like 22 minutes.
32 minutes is what I'm being told.
32.
Is that true? I don't know. That's what Conrad's telling me in my ear.
That's
is that
okay.
possible?
That's fine.
Hey,
it's
at least,
possible. It didn't seem like it.
Dirk forgot his sister, BC, if you remember that. He's straight up, and it
Oh,
was a
Michael Cooper. Michael Cooper forgot his son.
Yeah, it was so awkward, bro.
His son? That's therapy.
Before he walked off,
therapy.
Before he walked off, he came back. He's like, "Hey, by the way, my youngest son, man, I love you. I was like, yo,
that's right.
Do not
Forget
your mom and your kids, man. Like I was like,
kids got to be first on the list along with mom and dad. They got to be first on the list.
Yeah. So like, but it helps, like, you know, because they have a speechwriter, and shout out to him. I didn't talk to him. He might have been mad at me, but I was able to write my own speech. So I had an idea of everything. So if I had a brain lock, I at least knew where to go and where I want to go. If I didn't remember teammates, you know, I'd already written down, but I did forget a family member. She was an aunt, so she'd be on.
That's so good.
So you spoke about, in your speech, you spoke about Kobe and the conversation that you guys had, and that led to you being more comfortable with retiring and stepping away from the game. What impact did 2-4 have on your career?
Man, he had a huge impact. I mean, obviously playing against him, you know, you guys know this, how fierce of a competitor. We played AAU ball together. Every time we laced up against each other, it wasn't no off day by any means. But you know, I like I said in the speech, I said, if anyone could handle or not handle retirement, it would be him, because of his approach, how he went about it. He played so long, such a fierce competitor. He was one of the first ones that I wanted to talk to, and I wanted to get his reaction, because now here I am, year 22, now about to walk away from the game, loving the game for so long, and I was just curious about how he was handling it. And then I was going to go to Dirk and D-Wade, and then some other guys I had in mind, but those well, he was number one, and those are the other two. And to get the reaction that I got from him was it was funny, but refreshing. And I was like, retirement's going to be okay. I can say retirement. I'm retiring. I can say retirement. I can say the word. So shout out to him. And he was just like, man, he was just, you could just feel like how happy he was to now coach Gigi and his girls team and be there all the time for them and just be able to turn that other side of his life off. And I was just like, okay, I can do it. And that was kind of step one that night.
Man, you competed against Kobe nearly 2 decades. Yeah. What was your favorite moments competing against Kobe?
Okay. Well, one of the moments of us going back and forth, we were about to fight, like literally in each other place in LA, I remember. And you know what? Playing against him I was in Memphis, his last game. And it felt like a pickup game. He was still in Kobe mode, but it was a pickup game. Just seeing like he is one. And I guess I should have realized at that point, like he didn't really talk much to you, you know, friendly that is. He usually was talking junk. But that game, like, you know, he hit me with a pump fake. I remember on the left side of the baseline, hit me with a pump fake, and I'm skying. I'm trying to send this ball in the stands. And I miss and swipe over him, and he still hits the shot. He's like, man, say, I got you out there doing jumping jacks, trying to touch the ceiling, aren't you? Like that's like Cole, like that's this typical Cole, but like it was just in a friendly mode. And that's some of the times I remember. Obviously I had battles with him, but that's kind of one of the times I remember where like, man, you don't get to see that side of Cole just because he wanted to kill you for 48 minutes.
He was at peace with at the end of his career. I just remember getting ready for games. And I was like, yo, this is not the version of Kobe Bryant everybody told me about. Like, why are you so friendly? Like, nobody told me about the friendly Kobe Bryant, man. That's so at the end of his career, he was okay with moving along just like yourself, man.
Yeah, man.
BC, your jersey. You going to Michelle?
No, go ahead. No, go ahead, Chandler.
Your jersey is going to be retired by the Toronto Raptors in a few weeks, which is the first jersey ever, which is awesome and much deserved. When something like that happens, do you think about it? Do you think it might not happen? Like, what's kind of the process of that happening? And congrats on that.
I get it's about time thing, but like I say, better late than never. It's meant to be when it's meant to be. I look at it like a relationship. You know, we want to get married. We want to be in a relationship so bad, but you want the other side to want to do it as well. And that was kind of the thing. It's like you go about it, and I was always asked, you know, do you would you want your jersey retired? Hell yeah. I mean, that's a huge honor amongst, a huge honor from an organization and a franchise is to have your jersey go up, but it's like it has to be on their time. So I was patient, and I was just like, if it happens, it happens, and I would be more than honored to say yes, and I will probably cut them off by saying yes. And it was kind of an awkward moment, as you guys know, because the Nets kind of announced retirement first. So I had to answer a lot of questions, and it kind of goes to what we're talking about. It's like, I have nothing to do with this. It's on their time whenever they want to, to really go about this. And you think about, I've had opportunities I had moments where I was just thinking like, man, what would I say? How I react? And they did it during a court dedication that I refurbished my court from 21 years ago, and to have that honor and to hear it, it was just like those words, man, like through all the ups and downs, the back and forth with Toronto for 15 years or whatever it's been, for it to come off like that, man, it's like it was, the timing was perfect.
Let's play hypothetical. Let's just say a couple years from now, Jokic decides he wants to play up in Canada and he's going to Toronto. He really wants to keep 51. That 15. Okay, so no, there's all right, figure it out. Okay, good. Question answered.
I did say, Beadle, I will say this though. I will say, I that's funny. I was asked that question, and even my family members, and I said, there's only one person who will probably get that opportunity to wear it, and that's the little man. So if he gets that chance to wear, to make it to the NBA and crazy enough to play for the Raptors, I will give him. I will definitely give him the go ahead. Other than that,
they don't know what you've been through to get that 15 retired up there. They don't know.
Say what you said, Lou. Say it again, Lou. They didn't hear you. Here, take the mic. Say it again.
Absolutely, they don't know what you went through to get that 15 up there.
Just to say, go ahead to someone else. Nah, man. I heard this.
Fair enough. No, I'm glad to hear that. Actually, talk about a little brand impact, especially your shoes. I kind of just want to hear from you, like, of your shoes. I think we're throwing a picture up there so we can like just remember them and see them. Do you have a favorite? That's nice.
Oh, I love those. I love those second left ones right there.
Those are my high school color. Those were our team shoes in high school.
Right. So those were the originals. So obviously the Shocks were, that's what started. And, I know people had their opinion about, they were too heavy. They worked for me. And they did what they're supposed to do. And they had some iconic moments in particularly that second shoe, because I jumped, I did what I did in the Olympics in those. And then you look at the N1s. Let's talk about the N1s and what happened with that one. That's when I, did what I did in the dunk contest. So I've had some pretty cool moments in all of those. I hit some big game winners in those bottom right with the Nets in those. That's a lot of years to remember what I did with all these shoes, but I remember
do you have like a ton of pairs of each just stored away somewhere?
I do not. That's funny you say that. I have some. I was gifted by Nike. I don't know if you guys saw the ones that Nike gifted me. Those were sick. They had Hall of Fame 24 and I think the VC and my kids on one shoe and Hall of Fame 24. Those were sick. I just got them. So I'll show them. I wish I had them. I'll show you guys now, but it was sick, man.
Do they go like in a case, never to be touched, or how
never to be touched? They're not coming out of the case. I brought them out once to show when we did the show, show it off and do the picture and all of that stuff, and that's it. That's it. It's going up high, so all these little short people can't touch it.
I think I told VC this story one time. When those Shocks came out, I was in middle school, and they came out, and there's crazy long lines in Orlando at this mall. And I've had a middle school game, and my mom, she was supposed to bring them to me to the gym. She's late. She's like, I play the first half, and I'm horrible, right? And I swear, this is God's honest truth. My mom comes in with the white and red South Seminole Middle School color Shocks, and I go bananas in the second half of my boys' shoes on. That was always like so cool to me, where I'm like, damn, like it was like a Space Jam thing. Like I put on the shoes and I literally played like him. Like it was unbelievable. I loved it. So that's a true story. I got busy in your Shocks, bro.
And I'm gonna tell you. I want to tell you a quick.
I gotta tell you my story too, Vince. I was a freshman, Chandler, and you know how you have to wear the team shoes. I was just to prove myself. I wore number 32 as a freshman because my coach said I had to earn the 23. So I went this stretch of wearing like team shoes, and then I started putting some 30s up. He like, all right, you can wear whatever you want. And the shocks were our team color, the navy blue with the gray soles on them. And I started.
Right.
And the shocks were the first shoes that I wore to go rogue in. Those were it.
That's crazy. And that's what I was gonna say. The beautiful thing about that shoe, like how we obviously shock Boeings and everything, selling dunking, but like we wanted the perception, and we did our job and make it. Because I got cursed at a lot by a lot of people. Like, man, these didn't help my vertical. Like you said, like the Boeing's gonna help my vertical, and that's what we wanted to sell. I mean, we were trying to sell shoes and the look, and obviously me jumping through the air, through arenas, and have the commercials, doing the Boeing commercials was a great time, man, to sell a shoe and to get everybody on board. So thank you to everybody who bought a pair or two.
It was a lie. I couldn't dunk, Vince. I thought I'd be able to dunk with these shoes.
But no, it's all about strengthening the mind. You know, we got to make you believe it, because if you believe it, you can achieve it. You know how that goes.
Yeah, of course. He's not going anywhere. We're taking a quick break. More Vince Carter when we come back. Carter, Hall of Famer, Vince Carter. Now you have to say that from now on when you're introduced, which is nice. Let's talk a little NFL. Is it true that you and T-Mac trying to buy a stake in the Buffalo Bills? Is that a thing?
We just went there to have a good
they
time
went to
in Buffalo.
Wild Wings. They went to Buffalo Wild Wings.
We were there. Obviously, we met with the Pagula family, had a conversation, but that's really it as of right now. If they're willing, I'll at them for sure now. Yeah.
Now, is it because you want to have, obviously, who doesn't want a piece of an NFL team? Is it specific to them or just the whole idea of the NFL?
I mean, it's just conversation. I mean, we were talking about some years ago about doing some stuff together. T-Mac and I, that is, so it's just conversation, and we get that opportunity. I'm all for it.
I like this.
Yeah.
I like this.
What do you say?
See it in your eyes, Vince. There's more to it than that. We see it in your eyes.
That's what's really going on, man.
No, that's what's really going on.
Yes, really yes. The NBA. The NBA starts tomorrow.
Thank you. Basketball, yes.
Yeah. We're all going to New York, actually, right after the show. Michelle is already there. And the Knicks made some big moves this offseason. Now, do you think the addition of Cat, Gail Bridges, puts them in that category of the most talented team in the Eastern Conference?
I for sure think they're the most talented. I know we're talking about playing them at the center position. I like Cat at the 4, where you can use use him for your advantages. But I like what they have. I mean, you can use different lineups. Use him as for small ball. And I heard you guys talking earlier, about Josh Hart and him not being happy. And you got to look at this squad. It's like you got to have somebody come off the bench. I like big guards, big defenders, big wing defenders that can run and score in transition, can shoot the ball. Cat unlocks that. So I'm okay with bringing Josh Hart off the bench, because you're bringing energy, effort. We know what he can do. You bring him in for small ball, where you move Cat to the 5, OG to the 4. You can use Josh that way. So they're very versatile and can do a lot with that lineup. So yes, I think they have some of the most talented squad out there right now.
And as talented as they are, obviously the Celtics are the champs. They're looking to go back to back. All eyes are on Jason Tatum. All the stuff this summer with the Olympics and not playing. Does that, as a player, do you think he's got more motivation? He's got a chip on his shoulder going forward.
Absolutely. But I think the motive. I mean, yes, I know what the playing in the Olympics does for a player in general. You get to be around those guys. Your standard, your approach changes. So that in general. I look at Paolo Banchero. Look what it did for him the following year. How he approached the game. How much better he got just being around those guys. The same for him. Yes, he played, Jason Tatum played in the prior Olympics, but being a part of the Olympic team, going through that, now going through what you had to go through. I think it's murderer's row for him. I think he's going to come out, and I would like to see him go out and do that, because one thing about Jason Tatum, I think he's one of the top 10, 15 players in the league, but it used to frustrate me when he would defer sometimes and just settle. And I don't think we're going to see that, particularly early in the year. I don't think he's going to settle. I think he's going to go out guys to prove like, hey, I'm supposed to be that guy, and I'm supposed to play. And you kind of look at it like, come on, like you're not going to take Kevin Durant's minutes. I mean, we know what Kevin Durant, who he is and what he can do. He's going to be that guy next year. He's going to have plenty of minutes to play in the 2028 Olympics.
And this even happened before the Olympics. This started when Jason Kidd said that Jaylen Brown was the best player and all that last year. So you have that, you win a championship, you're still getting slept on. Then you go to the Olympics, not play. So I'm with you. I think he's actually my MVP pick. I think he's out for just absolute chaos this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's murderer's row for him.
I think Boston is going to be the obvious favorite to win it this year. But one of the teams that's going to be that's going to compete against them, that's supposed to dethrone them, is going to be the Philadelphia 76ers. And Joel Embiid, he made some headlines in the recent weeks by saying he's done with back-to-backs for the rest of his career. What does that say about the Philadelphia 76ers? What's your take?
Lou, I don't like it, man. I don't like it. And I get it. They're trying to protect him and make sure they have him healthy for the big picture. Because if you look in that locker room, you see the talent and you feel like this can happen this year. I get it. But that's why you bring in an Andre Drummond. Maybe you don't play as the big minutes or you don't play the stretch of 6 to 8 minute stretches anymore, or even 10-minute stretches. You play shorter stints because you have a rebounder and a guy who can create havoc in extra possessions like a Drummond to kind of relieve him, but like not playing at all the rest of your career. I just think it's a little premeditated. I feel like, at the end of the day, I know they're probably thinking we just need to get in the playoffs so we can do our thing. But what happens when you have 2 or 3 games, or that last month when you really need to position yourself as the number 1 seed because that is the best path for you. You want the highest seed because when you get down to that Eastern Conference Finals, you want home court advantage for a Game 7. Or when it comes down to having the best record in the league, you want home court advantage in the finals. These things matter. And so I just think, even if that's something you were going to do, why say it? Why say it?
That's
just go about your business and then go about it and let us kind of say, hey, wait, he's not playing back-to-backs. I noticed. And then you kind of keep out of the media, and it doesn't bring the outside noise into your locker room when you have this talented team.
Right, because, VC, when you get to the end of the season, you always have that look-back moment where you're like, man, if we'd have won this game on the road, won that game on the road. We let this
game go, yes, correct.
Let this one get away, that takes you from maybe a 3 to a 6 seed, and it changes everything. So going into the season, if you're competing against the Philadelphia 76ers and you're like, I'm in the second game of this back-to-back, and he played last night. Let's put everything we got into, and let's rack up these games. I think that's what's going to be the most impactful thing for the 76ers that's not going to work in their favor.
Yeah, and I want to say this too. They're already, with guys being injured, obviously CPG injured now. I am concerned about Joel. He played all summer, competitive basketball. Will he wear down throughout the year? So, my thing is I still need you for games because the big picture is for us to get in the playoff, get the best possible seed to do well in the playoffs. Regardless, do well in the playoffs. They have not, gotten to the Eastern Conference Finals in a long time in the playoffs. I missed the shot for them to get there in 2001, but that doesn't matter. But what I'm saying, is, you need those guys to be healthy, but you need consistency where your guys always know what's happening at all times. And when you have breakdowns, you at least can trust it. I know such and such is going to be available. I know such and such is going to be there. I just think it's important that, you keep all the outside noise away because, those guys are going to get injured. I get it. Sometimes you're going to sit Joel and PG, but you don't have to announce that to us.
I think that's what's bothering people because Pop does the load management stuff, but he takes the heat, right? The players don't go out and tell you what games they're going to play and not play. It's like he said the quiet part out loud, even though we all kind of assume you're going to load manage Joel Embiid.
It's just a little premature. It's a little premature. What if he feels fine? What if he feels fine on the second night? You're not going to play even though you're good to go.
I think you
because
play.
Now, just think about that. Now you bring the other side. Well, you said you weren't going to play. Now you're playing. So which one is it? So
it didn't need to be said.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
I agree with that. We started when you sat down, we talked a little about football and how T-Mac had his little snickering in the background when you mentioned that you once played football. But between basketball and football players, there is a thing. Chandler swears by it. Recently, this is cool. Anthony Edwards sat down with Justin Jefferson, and here's what he said.
Yeah, I think it's easier, yeah.
For y'all?
Football players can't go play basketball.
You crazy.
No way. I told my buddies, I said, if I win a ring in the next 3 to 4 years,
You're not going to football.
I'm going to play football.
No, you're not.
Yes, he said it out loud. Chandler's yes, it's all. What do you think about that?
I mean, I love his confidence. One thing about it, just like we as players, like it's not that easy just to walk into the NBA and think that you're gonna play and have success, and it's not that easy to walk on the field and think that you're gonna have success, or like one thing Justin Jefferson said, like when you get hit one time real hard, what happens next? Do you line up for the next play, or are you like, if we get hit hard, we can bounce back just to, but like getting hit like that, man, this guy's getting hit now in the league, in the NBA, who not getting up and flopping around, man. You don't get that out. You don't get that say so in the NFL.
Also, if you see outside at Lambeau in the freezing ass cold weather,
that's the next phase of it.
That's hard.
I'm just talking about playing like in Florida, like come on, man.
We sit that game out. You don't play at Lambeau.
I'm just hanging my hat on. It's just more likely for an NBA player to play football. Both transitions are extremely hard, and I don't think that it's gonna be easy to go one way or another. But just based on the sheer numbers, I think it's more likely for an NBA player to find a job in NFL than it is vice versa. That's it. That's my take.
I mean, he said he's going. If he, I'm rooting for him to win in the next 3 years because I want to see what happens. Like,
I mean, like you said, he's one of those athletes, like obviously like LeBron, even like T-Mac, even like MJ. Like guys can leave a sport and go, play another sport like professionally. Like these guys were play professionally. You can say what you want. Like you may not be a Pro Bowler or an all-star, but like if you can compete at the level, you can compete at the level. So yeah, there are guys. I agree with you, Lou. There are guys in the NBA that probably can transition. I don't want to say seamlessly, but can make it into the NFL. And I do feel like there are some NFL guys that can play in the NBA. I played against a few. I mean, I played against Tony Gonzalez when he was a small forward at California. Like, Buddy was like, but particularly back in the 90s. I think now, Lou, there's more guys who could play back in the 90s when the game was slower. Some of the skill position players in NFL could come over and have a chance, but a lot of them will foul out in today's game.
Yes, sir.
We got to do a little Sam Mitchell here. I love that I live in a world right now, Vince, where Sam Mitchell of all people went viral. Like that to me is just the perfect moment in social media. Like it all comes together, right? So he goes viral. He's with his co-host doing the NBA, and they have like a moment, which I thought they were joking anyways, but some people took it and ran with it. You had a moment, allegedly, in practice with Sam Mitchell. Do you have any good stories you want to share?
Do I have any stories to share? I mean,
since you body slam Sam Mitchell, is that true?
just tell us.
Did I? What? What are we talking about? What are you guys doing?
What they say, Vince.
So here's what
you played so long that you don't even remember.
I do actually. So I remember what they said. So what they said was they were saying that what happened is, Sam was a couple of years removed from the league as a player. Now as the coach, and Sam used to walk around, like every night and talk. So, from what they were saying is that Sam was in the training room, and they said that he walked up to me talking to junk, and we like ha, tussling, and they said that he, grabbed the player, whoever the player was, and the player grabbed him back, and they got the tussling, and
it's out, Vince. It's you, dog.
Okay,
it's
so
I
took the liberty, as when you're in a tussle, you don't want to be the one getting slammed. So I reacted first, so that's what they were saying happened. So it wasn't really a fight, more so than,
it was some straightening.
That's all. We had a good.
Keep your hands
We were
off
having
me.
a good time.
I love
Say,
this.
get off me, man. Get off me, man.
Yeah,
What you
keep your
doing? Like,
hands
bro,
off
what
me,
you
dog.
doing? Yeah, because you know, when you get scooped or somebody, you got to protect yourself. I got
plan.
inside. Once I got inside, I had the advantage. That's
How
what they
does that
said.
end, by the way? Like, first of all, boys are silly because I'm just listening to this going, this is just crazy man stuff. But how does it end? You just shake it, both of y'all shake it off, be like,
Here's the funny
slam.
Here's
with a body slam.
It was. Here's the funny thing about it. Alvin Williams and Jalen was in there. Jalen told the story, but like it was at home. It wasn't in Portland. It was at home, and we were having a good time. The funny thing about it is we go back out because I wasn't playing that game, and I remember a timeout. And the timeout, and I'm walking through the timeout. Guys are getting up. He's getting out of his chair, and we kind of walk by each other. And he's like, "Yo, man, chill out." I was like, "Bro, we out here for the 19,000. We good." Like it was just a fun moment that turned into we fought. That's all. That's what they said.
I kind of love it, and I like the idea that y'all fought. Like I want full on Royal Rumble stuff in my mind.
Nah, it was no
because that makes it
furniture
good.
moving. It wasn't any furniture moving. It's just like they said. He landed on some furniture.
Is that like, have there been other interactions with coaches that, I mean, maybe we don't know about ever, maybe we never will, but that have been crazier?
Yeah, I can't. Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And it was around that team. Okay, so I was on the team in Toronto where a coach and a player went into a room. This was for a real fight. Closed the door.
What?
And handle their business.
Let's figure it out.
Wait,
You won't.
what? So that they physically go in there and fight?
They went, yeah, we were just sitting there like, all right, well, man, let's go. Let's go. They went in there.
What?
And,
You got to think a lot of coaches, 9 times, they probably was your teammate at one point or somebody you competed against, and then you play long enough, they turn into your
I played
coach.
against Sam Mitchell. I played against Sam when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah, like I played against some of my coaches before. It happens.
Yeah.
Have you physically fought them though? Like Lou or Chandler, have you physically fought?
I wasn't a physical guy. I'm not physically.
I'm a lover, not a fighter.
He's a lover. Yeah, y'all are lovers.
Yeah,
That's right.
Like I say, Sam. I played against Sam, so it was just one of those locker room thing where you just tussle to see who can get the upper hand and leverage. It was more of that because this was Sam's first year. So sometimes you still have to correct. That's all it was.
I mean, I kind of love it. I love that a lot of people were like learning Sam Mitchell for the first time ever. I think we're out of time. Are we out of time? No, we're out of time.
We out of time?
All right, Vince, love you. Mean it.
Man.
See you the rest of the season.
It's good to be here. They should make broken family-style restaurants.
Teasing you, it's a comedy show.
She's joking me. I'm like, tell me I'm adopted. She's like, what? Is that one too real for the crowd? Sorry.
I was wondering what clips they'd put there. Yes, here he is. Knicks superfan, and his day job is comedian. Sam Morril joins the show. Okay, we got to start with last season because you were on the show last season and you were pretty comfortable and confident in saying, you know what, this Knicks team could just run it back. Good title. And they ended up making huge moves in the offseason. So your reaction right away to what they did?
Well, I have a ton of Nova Knicks gear with Dante's face on it. So I guess I can't wear it to the Garden this year. I don't know. That's my first reaction. I love Dante and Julius. So that the initial hurt as a fan, you're like, man, Julius, he rebuilt the Knicks. He took a chance on us when we whiffed on KD and Kyrie. So I have a lot of love for Randall and Dante. Like, I can't think of a more fun 1-year Knick. So I love Dante, but I mean, Cat he fits. He does fit, and Leon has been cooking. So it hurt to lose quickly in RJ too, but OG has been incredible. So I think you just got to trust in Leon.
Yeah, listen, for whatever reason, Cat was never really loved like Anthony Edwards was in Minnesota. As a diehard Knicks fan, do you think you guys will embrace him, his personality? Obviously, his game, I feel like, is going to translate perfectly, but are you going to embrace Karl Anthony Towns this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think he always seemed like kind of a fun dude. I remember he was rocking those Rick and Morty kicks, and I was like, oh, he's like a fun character. I don't know. He's a great player. We will embrace you if you embrace New York. Like, you saw the first thing they wrote to Cat, right? It was like, don't be a bitch. Was that what they said about Cat? Don't be a bitch. If he embraces New York, we embrace him. I mean, it's that simple. I almost stopped myself. I'm like, can I say that on FanDuel? I don't know.
Yeah,
but,
yeah, you can.
Don't, Chandler. Damn it, Chandler.
Yeah.
No. No. Chandler,
let her rip, Sam.
I think if he embraces New York, we embrace right back. We love you if you like the city. And it seemed like he wanted to stay in Minnesota. It's a weird trade because it is two really good teams. So it's weird when they just shuffle it around, but I do think it might be good for both teams.
It's interesting to me because Cat always had that reputation of being quote unquote soft, but he was also younger, and he seems to have sort of matured a bit. And I just hope that he doesn't have a little bit of a bad run, and then hears it, and then just sort of goes from there. Because that's my only concern, is that he kind of has a downward spiral if it's too many bad days in a row. That's all. That's all I'm saying.
That would be being a bitch, and that's what we're saying. That's in the right.
And that's what I don't want.
Yeah,
okay,
don't do that.
Don't be a bitch. That's easy.
The way I look at it is, I loved Randall, but also you have to look at what he did for us in the playoffs. And the first year against the Hawks, he kind of fell apart. The year against the Heat, he was hurt. This year he was hurt. So,
yeah,
I remember Lou. Damn it. That was a painful one to be at, that series. Oh, but hey, this is I feel good about this year.
Yeah, Sam. You mentioned Julius Randle, though. I just wanted to ask you, like, what was it that why wasn't he a fan favorite at most of the time, or sometimes in New York? Was it on the court? Was it off the court? What was his deal there? Because him leaving, honestly, I feel like he kind of wanted to leave.
Oh, I mean, it was a tough relationship. I think the folding in the playoffs is, I think, where the fans turned on him. And I thought he got a bad rap. I don't think it was quite as fair, like when they were ripping apart his, like, whatever that paper thing outside the garden
posters.
Was. Yeah. I didn't like that. That's ugly. I don't like that stuff. But I was also at a game once, and I'm not going to say the comic's name, but I was near her, and she was like, "Man, I hate Randall. He's like my least favorite." And I'm like, "Dude, shut the hell up. His son is like 2 seats that way. Stop it." So I liked him for just taking a chance in the city. And I say what you want, like maybe he didn't make the right play down the stretch sometimes, but he's 25-10, and you can't call that guy soft. So I think New York does love that. I think where he lost us was, not myself included, but he didn't deliver in the playoffs. That's where you got to level up in the playoffs in a big city. And I think Brunson does that. So that's where he lost us, probably.
Oh, we'll get to Brunson. We will definitely get there. First is Dad, though, because the return of Dante in the preseason, everyone was super stoked for it. And then there was the smack talk that was going back and forth. At first, I actually thought it was a joke at first, and then I realized, no, he's actually pissed, and he was pissed with Rick Brunson, the father of his best friend. So what did you make of all that?
Well, look at Jalen Brunson. Clearly, he was not raised by a crazy healthy guy. Like, you don't make a warrior like that from a dad who's just like normal. That's a dude who's probably tortured his kid. Brunson goes hard, and it sucked to see. But also, here's the way I look at Rick Brunson. We don't have Jalen without him. I don't think we do. So you have to take the good with the bad.
Literally.
And I mean, on multiple levels, right? Maybe Jalen's not an NBA player. If Jalen Brunson had my dad, he's just not a basketball player.
That's fair.
You need to have a psycho father. I mean, he made him into what he is, and he got him to the Knicks, clearly.
You know what's interesting, though, and Lou, like, I when this happened, I was thinking about, like, that annoying ass AAU dad, though, that would always, like, just say the wrong shit, stick up for his son, even though he was wrong. So, like, that's kind of the dynamic that I felt here, where it's like, dude, shit, you're only a coach because your son's really good at basketball and Knicks want him. So I feel like that is where the beef came from.
Listen, I play with Rick Brunson. He's not all the way there sometimes. He can be a little crazy. Sam, I want to ask you, before Cat, the Knicks traded for Mikal Bridges, reuniting him with his former teammates, his former Villanova teammates, and Jalen Brunson and the since departed Dante. Are you upset that the Nova Boys didn't get their opportunity to shine?
Of course, yeah. I had a Fantastic Four shirt with all their faces on it. I don't know who was Invisible Woman. I think they went with like 2 Mr. Fantastics, but yeah, I was fired up to wear that shirt at the Garden. I love the idea of it. Yeah, I think every fan. I was at a 9/11 like benefit thing, and I ran into Jalen Brunson for a second, and he saw I was wearing a Nova Knicks shirt, and he was like, "I love that shirt." So clearly he wanted it. Like in theory, we all wanted it in New York, but as I said, you got to trust in Leon. He hasn't steered us wrong one way. Even these draft picks look phenomenal, like Dadier and Kolek. I trust in Leon for sure.
I think we all wanted it, at least just for one season, because it was such a fun sort of movie script story. But alas, but you did get Mikal Bridges, and a lot has been made of his new shooting form. And as a Knicks fan, like, is there concern? Are we worried? Do we think this will level out?
I think he'll figure it out because he's a great shooter throughout his career. But like when you see why are you changing it the year it's all coming together? Guess what? When I get a Netflix special, I'm not like, time to switch up my delivery. Let me try a new character. You go with the delivery. The guy, I'm not doing like a British accent. I'm like, this will crack him up. No, you do your voice. So when I see that extra hitch, I'm like, what are you doing? His jump shot in Phoenix, he was like 41% from 3. Why are you changing it? Who cares if it looks weird? Sean Marion had a weird looking shot. It went in. So do the shot that works.
I agree, but it doesn't look great too. Is the only thing that's concerning about me. But maybe he'll start knocking him down. Jalen Brunson, he won the city over within 1 year, like I've never seen before. Now the question is, can he be the number 1 guy on a championship team? He's got a great supporting cast, so I think that's obviously going to help him with the guys he added. But can he be the number 1 option on a championship team?
Absolutely, he can. Chauncey Billups is a Finals MVP. You know, Tony Parker is a Finals MVP. Why can't Jalen Brunson be a Finals MVP? I think when you build around the team properly, like that's the thing about Carmelo. I don't think he ever really had the right team around him, and Jalen really does. I mean, these guys. That's the thing. Also, losing Dante in that trash talk they were having with like, this is what happens when we let you run the team, whatever. Well, clearly they were building around Jalen from the get-go because we haven't had a guy like him in I don't know how long. And I don't mean to throw shade on any other Knick throughout the last 25 years, but Jalen is a total package. He has got the talent. He's got the killer instinct. He says all the right things. So I think when you have a guy like that who's a leader, yeah, I mean, putting OG and Bridges, 2 crazy good wings, and Cat, who's, you know, as good as Randall was, he's kind of a ball stopper. Cat can do everything. He can shoot. He could take it to the rack. It really is just, I think, a matter of time before we figure it out and maybe add one more piece on the bench. Losing Shamet sucked because that guy was looking great in preseason, but you know, we'll see who we add. I wouldn't mind what's his name, Lonnie Walker. I like that kid. I think he's good.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Lonnie's still out there. Well,
He's
let's play
floating out there.
You know, you talked about Jalen Brunson. You know, the last 25 years. This Knicks team, they're the best team in your opinion since when? What team?
99, when we lost to Michelle Spurs. I think.
I remember that. That was fun.
Yeah, not fun.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I thought 2012-13 with Melo, that 54-win team was tough. I think there's a better team. Amari wasn't all the way healthy on that team. Sure, we had Tyson Chandler and Melo, terrific team, but I think losing Chauncey Billups on that team really hurt us because even though he was older, he was like a steady hand. Kid was like 40 and coming off like his 3rd DUI. So I don't know if that was like prime Kid. I love J Kid, but like, you know, he was amazing that first half of the year and then it's like kind of fell off a cliff a little bit. I think this is our best team since the Sprewell, Houston, LJ, Marcus Camby Knicks.
All right, so this next question I always find funny because it seems so extreme, but we're sports fans, so we love our teams. We expect, want, hope for championships every single season. If they don't win everything, is it a failure?
No, this team has a nice like few year window, I think. That's why you do these moves. That's why they'll hopefully figure out a way to re-sign Bridges, who it seems like once he gets a taste of the Garden too, he's going to be like this. This guy's used to playing in Barclays for like 11 fake fans. You know, those Brooklyn fans aren't real. Maybe there's like a couple from Jersey who came over. If you lived in Jersey and then moved to Brooklyn, but it's like a lot of hipsters who don't. The fact that Garden wasn't rocking with KD and Kyrie should tell you everything. Not the Barclays, not the Garden. The fact that Barclays wasn't rocking with those guys. Come on. So once Bridges feels the Garden, he's going to want to stay. I think OG is like my issue right now is like, can we stay healthy? Because I do think Mitch is a part of the equation. Can he find a way to stay on the court? Because when we play Philly, who got better too, we need Mitchell Robinson on Embiid. We need a guy to wear down Embiid, who, like, by the way, talking about like he won't play back-to-backs. I love hearing old heads just shit on him. Just be like, dude, you don't play back. It's your job. It's like if I work at CVS, I'm not going to be like, I'm not going to work Tuesday and Wednesdays. And they're just like, yeah, you have to. That's when you work, you know? Job. So it's a job. So I love hearing like guys like Garnett just like trash him. It brings my Knicks heart joy to hear, guys like that who are just like tough players trash Embiid, because I hate Philly.
I agree with you, by the way. I think this Knicks team have a little bit of a longer runway because they're all young. They're all going into their prime. So I don't think it's a bust at all if they don't win a championship. But where would that rank in the city if they did? Bigger than a Giants Super Bowl? Bigger than the Yankees beating the Dodgers this year in the World Series? Where does a Knicks chip rank?
The Yankees have, what, 27? At this
they
point,
got so many. Who cares?
We don't. They were a long time
ago.
And the Giants aren't gonna win a Super Bowl. So I think your only shot would be the Knicks.
God, Daniel Jones. I was so not a fan. It's just so painful to watch. It's like, he was at the Comedy Cellar one night, and my friend was like, "Do you want to meet him?" And I was like, "No," which I can't imagine saying about any other Giants quarter. I loved Eli so much. No, I don't. This Giants team sucks. But the first Patriots Giants Super Bowl is pretty high up there because we beat an undefeated Patriots team, so that's up there. But I still somehow think the Giants had won in like the early '90s. So the Knicks, it's been over 50. Crazy to say over 50 years. Like there are people who are 50 who are like, I've never lived through a Knicks championship. So I think that might be one, just because it's such a dude. This is a basketball city. Think about what people pay for rent to live in this city. You can't walk 3 blocks without seeing a court. So that's real estate in New York. We care about basketball. That's a part of growing up here. So I think that's one. And I think you see how excited we get. I mean, that Randall 4-seed season where the Hawks whooped our butt. And in the COVID year, that says everything, because we were on fire from just like nothing. It's just like someone who hasn't had sex in like forever, and a woman touches your leg, and you're like, "Oh my God, this is crazy." So I don't know. We're pretty hungry for a Knicks championship.
Yeah. Speaking of championship, Sam, the Larry O'Brien Trophy could have went anywhere in this great country, but it went to Boston. Yeah, I'm upset to see that happen.
I was upset. I mean, look, it's tough. I met Jaylen Brown. I did a show for Fashion Week for Kids Super at the Apollo, and I met Jaylen Brown after, and I wanted to hate him. Of course, I wanted to hate him, but I never hated Jaylen Brown. I always respected like Holiday and Brown. Those guys. Tatum kind of bores me. I think he's a boring superstar, but. White is another guy. Like, how do you not like these guys? They're great players and they play the right way. So although I hate the team of the Celtics, I can't hate the players individually. Porzingis was a Knick. So I meet Jaylen Brown after this show, and I didn't have a great set. It's like a Fashion Week crowd. They're kind of whatever. They're a little like woke and kind of like, don't joke about this, don't joke about that. And I probably could have dialed it back a little, but once you start bombing, it's kind of funny to take it to another level. So I got off and I'm just like, there's Jaylen Brown, whatever. Celtics suck. And he walked over and he was like, that was hilarious. And I was like, this guy's pretty cool. Like, that's all it takes with your fragile ego. Like, oh man, I suck. So Jaylen Brown I chatted with him for a while and he was really a cool guy. And he was cracking up at how much I hated the Celtics. So I remember he asked me like, who's your least favorite of all time? And I was like, probably Pierce. Just because he bugged me and he always cooked us. And he was like, yeah, I can see that. And he's like, he was rubbing it in. He's like, you coming to ring night to watch us get our rings? I was like, nah, I'm not going to Boston to watch you get that. But I said, I can't wait for the Knicks to spoil it. He goes, we're going to make you watch. He was talking a lot of trash to me. And I was like, man, I like how competitive this guy is. And it's like, you couldn't have put him on Team USA. You had to give this team more ammo. This guy gets the finals MVP and somehow he's going to the offseason angry. I hate that shit. And Jason Tatum, same thing. He's on the team, but he's like he's riding the bench. His mom is starting
on
crap.
Team USA.
Humiliated.
Oh, he's got his mom talking trash. I was like, shut up. He's on Team USA. Tell his mom to stop starting shit over here, But yeah, it's so annoying. This team won the championship and they're coming in feeling disrespected. I don't know how that happened, but here we are. They're obviously the team to beat. It's weird to me that everyone talks about the West because, sure, you got the Thunder and the Wolves and the Nuggets are always good. But, I think the Celtics are clearly the team to beat, but I think the Knicks are built to beat them.
Can I ask you one quick question? I know it's so brand new and you must have a favorite Knick from all of the years, but has Jalen Brunson sort of leapfrogged a bunch of your former favorite Knicks?
Look, it's tough because I love the 90s Knicks. Something about pro athletes when you're a kid is just like you're a kid. It sticks with you longer. You idealize your heroes. So, that 90s Knicks team is tough to eclipse for me. I love Starks so much. I love Ewing and Mace and Oak. Those guys were just Spree. All those guys are awesome. But yeah, Brunson is kind of everything. I've said this to death, but he's everything you want in a leader. He has those Jeter qualities, except he's a little more goofy than Jeter. So, Jeter was a perfect leader, but a little boring in interviews, a little corny, and that's fine. He was perfect for the Yankees. So, but I do feel like Jalen, I see clips of him and he's just kind of being, he's got a podcast. It's hilarious that I never thought I would want the Knicks captain to have a podcast, but it seems like it's a good outlet for him. So, you don't want that, but he's for Draymond, it seems like it's not good. But you want to be in the right part of your career to have a podcast. Yeah. And it works
That's
for him.
Fair. Let me ask you before we go, you just released all the dates for your upcoming tour. Where do people go for all that?
Oh, it's just on my website. I'm doing a bus tour for the whole run this time. I'm a psycho. So 45 cities from March or February to May and all on a tour bus. So see me awesome. see me shooting bricks at your local YMCA during the day and doing comedy by night.
Sounds perfect. All right. Good luck tonight. Maybe you guys will upset them during the banner. Maybe they'll be too distracted. Everyone will be watching. Sam, appreciate it.
Can't wait for the game. Thanks for having me, guys. I love the show.
Let's rock. Let's roll. TikTok. Let's go. Let's rock. Let's go, Lakers.
I feel like when your name's Flea, there's no introduction needed, of course, from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, but we really just love you as a super Lakers fan, Flea, and we're glad you're back on the show. I know you weren't at the game last night. You've been witness there in person of so many giant Lakers moments. Obviously, last night one of a new season, but really the father-son moment. What were your thoughts? And you're like a new dad, so I feel like you might have more sentimentality here.
Yeah, well, I'm an old dad.
A new old dad.
I have a 36-year-old, an 18-year-old, and a nearly 2-year-old.
God bless you.
I just have to say real quick, Lou, it's so nice to meet you. I'm such a huge fan of your game. It's just so beautiful. And when you were on the Lakers, I was really happy about it. And when you weren't on the Lakers, I was like, this is a momentous fuck up. It's so sad to see you go. And 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 honestly, I really treasured every moment that you were a Laker. It was so exciting. And I just got to say that because it was beautiful.
Thank you, man. It's an honor. I appreciate that compliment. Thank you.
Thank you. You're welcome. But yeah, so last night, I've been of probably like many people of mixed minds with Bronny and LeBron. I mean, as a father myself, I could only imagine like if my kid was in my band with me, but to play with your kid like that and to be the first father and son to do it in history, it's beautiful. And it was actually like kind of moving when he came out. I really felt chills, and it was great. I don't know, if Bronny is really ready yet for serious NBA minutes. And I questioned that from the beginning, but it was just beautiful to see. And I loved it. And what was really beautiful to see too was a fire in Anthony Davis that I hadn't really seen in a while. He was lit. Anthony Davis was playing with an intensity last night that was just great to see. It made me so happy. And it seemed like they were all really playing together like they liked playing with JJ Redick as their coach. And I always feel like, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, but X's and O's and game plans are one thing, but when a team buys into a coach, it seems like it's more important than anything. It's just everyone being on the same page. And it seemed like they were on the same page. They came out with a defensive intensity. They got up. They did never relinquish the lead. It was a wire-to-wire win. Or maybe the Wolves got up by a point in a minute. But it was just great to see. It was awesome.
It's funny you say about AD, Flea, because obviously the Lakers look great. Anthony Davis looked dominant. JJ Redick's first win. So all this stuff, but somehow, the Bronny James is then that history being made is going to be the storyline. Now, do you think that this was the right move to get it done early so it's less of a distraction now throughout the season? How, as your bar set really, really low for Bronny to actually be a valuable player, go to the G League? What are your thoughts on the whole thing? And is it going to be a distraction even though it's over with now? History's been made. Now can they just play basketball?
I don't think it's a distraction. I think it's really beautiful. I think it makes LeBron happy, and it's going to fire him up for the season. And clearly it worked. Bronny is a good luck charm. Bring him on. I want him playing. It was awesome. I don't, what do I know? I'm just a basketball fan. I love basketball, and it was great to see them together. It was great to see their family on watching from the side. It's just nice. The family, it's beautiful. What can I say? Whether or not Bronny is ready for the NBA to play serious minutes, I don't know. How good can he get? I don't know. I know it was really nice to see. And it was also great to see Dalton Knecht come out and connect and come out and drain that three. He looked great. He looked really good. He looked like a confident rookie. I just liked it. I liked everything about last night. Because I got kind of, and like the big, all off seasons, like, oh, the Lakers aren't making any moves. They aren't making any moves. And I kind of fell to that too. Oh, they're just getting older. The same team. They went out in the first round. They're not making any moves. And then last night, it kind of struck me like they know each other. And which has become more and more rare in the NBA for teams to really know each other and to become a team, just by virtue, of knowing one another. And basketball is such a game of all this telepathic communication, all this unspoken communication. And I really felt that last night with them. Like they knew where each other was going to be on the floor. They were communicating. They know each other's personalities, their strengths and weaknesses, their neuroses, all this shit. And it made me happy. Yeah. The sky is looking clear, Lakerland.
Well, with that said, this team is getting older. Bron came out and he said, playing next to Bronny, having that opportunity is giving him new life. And now he's saying that, reports are saying that, he may play another 2 or 3 years, and Bryce is coming up the ladder now. Do you expect LeBron play a few more years at this same high level?
It's really hard to know. I mean, look, Kareem was finals MVP when he was 43 years old. He also, won, I think, 4 championships at UCLA. So it's definitely possible. And clearly he's a really disciplined man, and a really smart man who knows how to manage his time and his body. So it is possible. And if he had both sons playing on the Lakers, come on, it would, it's great. Just the fact of it hyping LeBron up and making it, it's got to be such a fulfilling, magical feeling for him. So yeah, I'm into it. I'm into it. I kind of figured this would be his final season because he's getting to play with Bronny, but Bryce is coming up and Bryce is good.
Oh, you said that. Flea, you said that weird. Like he's good. Interesting. What do you mean by that?
Like he's actually.
Bryce is good. I'm not saying Bronny isn't good. I'm just saying Bryce is good too. These kids are good.
No, I know.
Look.
I know, but people are looking to Bryce already. Like he's legitimately ahead of Bronny talent-wise. So yeah, he might stick around for 2-3 more years, Flea. LeBron's gonna be 50 and a Laker. You know this.
I love the guy. I love LeBron James. And look, there's nothing wrong with nepotism. It's the family business.
There you have it.
Family business. Come on. That's a beautiful thing.
I thought it was the Bus family business.
This is the James family business.
Part of the family tree.
There it is.
Yeah. And then there's so many players in the NBA now whose fathers are in the NBA. And I always love to see it. And I've been watching, the Lakers fanatically since 1972 when I moved to LA and they were only on TV once a week. And I've watched, everything. I've watched so closely for so long. And, like when the Lakers, we see Wesley Matthews, come in, his father, Wes Matthews, I used to watch him. He was Magic's backup. And I just realized that I forgot after all these months off of the season, after not drinking out of my Magic cup this morning, my lucky Magic cup that I can only drink out of after a victory. So I'm going to have to double up on the coffee this morning.
Flea, you mentioned Anthony Davis, and he's on record saying he's focused on being dominant every single game. And I think the takeaway last night, obviously the 36-16 was a great start. He didn't float. He didn't disappear at the end of the game. Is this realistic? And is this the version of Anthony Davis that obviously the Lakers need to have real championship, aspirations this season?
We definitely need it. And it's definitely realistic and possible. It's, personal discipline and the willingness to do it every day, even when it's painful and you're suffering and you do it anyways. A basketball season, as both you guys know, is long and serious and arduous. And no matter how many games you play, you're always playing through pain and exhaustion and, whatever emotional turmoil comes from just being a human being and having to do it. And I can relate to that. I just did a 2.5-year long tour playing stadiums. You go out for 60,000 people. They don't care your dog died. They don't care your wife's threatening to leave you. They don't, you know what I mean? It's like, you got to go out and do your work. They don't care you coming down with the flu. Like, get out and entertain the people and give your entire heart to the process, And so it's definitely realistic. It's a challenge, it's serious. We know he's capable of it. He knows he's capable of it. But he really came out with a fire last night that like one of the things I've always loved about basketball is you can really see the people playing it. And, you can feel a sincerity inside, and I really felt that from him last night. Like this is my legacy. This is who I am. I'm giving my heart to this. And I could really feel that last night. And they just seemed together. They seemed playing like they were playing together on both sides of the court. They didn't give up. And the Wolves are good. Like, I know they're adjusting to losing Cat and having Julius, and it seemed like they have to work through that a little bit. But AD is definitely key. He's kind of everything. And, I think he's completely capable of doing it. And I know that he's capable.
You know what, Flea? I'm glad you brought up Dalton Knecht, the rookie. He came off of a 35-point preseason game and then seamlessly into night one of his NBA career. Snoop Dogg already went with West Side Connect as the nickname that we should adopt. Can we do better, or do we love this?
No, I'm sticking with Snoop. That's really good. Yeah.
That's good.
I mean, I was just like the connection. I was saying all this dumb shit, you know. You don't want to mess with Snoop when it comes to wordplay. He's a master.
All right, perfect. All right, he mastered it. We're done.
You know where that comes from, right? You know what West Side Connection is, right?
Oh yeah.
I'm asking Beadle because she may
Of course I don't know. Why would I know?
Oh, yeah, no,
I know nothing.
Of course you
and,
know. It's a legendary rap group from the West Coast. They're called West Side Connection. So that's where that comes from. And they're affiliated,
better question.
They're affiliated with Snoop. Yeah.
Do you think Dalton Connect knew that? No.
What's that?
Probably not.
Dalton Connect certainly didn't know that.
There's no way.
I didn't know it. He didn't know.
You know, I'm from LA, and I love music.
Absolutely. Flea, I want to ask you, what's it like to have somebody who's considered a legendary Los Angeles Clipper as the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers and JJ Redick? What's that like?
Yeah, no, that's a good question because I've never been a Clipper flipper. You know, even when you went to the Clippers, I used to love the Clippers when they were like the nice little brother, and the Darius Miles. My son is named Darius. That team and Elton Brand and Ken Norman before that and all that. But then I started hating the Clippers when they got good. And started beating the Lakers, and I hated JJ. I hated JJ. I was like, he's got ugly tattoos. I hated JJ. I'm like a 2-year-old when it comes to being a basketball fan. It was a little weird, and it's kind of a strange thing. But it's always like that with being a basketball fan with all the moving pieces. It's like every time they'll get some guy who I hated. Like, look, we got Ron Artest. I remember Ron Artest threatened Kobe. I hated him, and then when we got Ron Artest, I loved him more than anything in the world. I mean, what a dynamic, beautiful guy. So it's always like that. They put on the purple and gold, and I love them. They could, yeah. So and JJ, man, he really had them playing well. And as a fan, you never know who has who doing what, but it just seemed to be really working. And I was watching them when he was speaking to them, and he just seemed real clear in speaking, and they seemed real clear in listening. And I just had a feeling of togetherness for the first game. That was awesome, So, go Lakers.
Go Lakers. I think a lot of Lakers fans thought this during the offseason. You're watching all these teams make big moves, big names are changing addresses. It's going back and forth. And the Lakers sort of stayed pat. And it looked great last night. But is there a scenario in your mind of if they're going to go, and it looks like they're probably still looking out for some good big trade down the line. What would they need?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, you always need shooting. The Lakers are always like that knockdown Lou Williams 3-point shooter. But
Lou could still play.
Yeah. Come on, Lou. Yeah,
okay,
I believe. I believe.
Shoot. Play, I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know, like a backup center. I know they really wanted, Bron and AD were both kind of lobbying to get, I think it was Vucevic, or whoever else was available. But I don't know, man. They look pretty good. I mean, it all depends on health too. Like everyone stays healthy. Maybe Dalton Connect is that shooter. That he's got a stroke. He might be that guy. I just don't know. I really don't know. I like the team right now. There's no one I want to just get rid of to get someone else to bring someone in. Like they always talk about D'Lo being the trade piece, and he's probably the best shooter on the team. When he gets going, when he gets his shot going, he was great last season. He carried them in many a game with his shooting when he gets hot. So I don't know. I mean, they talked about trying to get Trae Young. They talked about trying to get all these guys. I don't know. It seems like right now you can always use a good shooter. You can always use a big man, but it seems like they are a pretty well-rounded team. They know each other really well. And like last night, it just seemed like a pretty well-constructed roster, I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, and the continuity, like we talked about in the first segment, I think that's going to help them long term. That a lot of these other teams have to make adjustments. They have to get used to each other. The chemistry, the Lakers and the Celtics on the other side, they have that. And obviously the expectations, especially for the Lakers, always are championship. And they have 17 NBA titles. Do you have a favorite of their championships?
Oh man, I mean the three-peat, well, when with Kareem and Magic, when they beat the Celtics, that really, that really felt good. The last one that the Lakers got, when they beat the Celtics, and Kobe getting his 5th ring, Derek Fisher getting his 5th ring, that was also, it's such a great, satisfying feeling. So both of those were really great. It's hard to know. It's like people would always ask me, like, what's your favorite Kobe moment? Like, this whole career was my favorite Kobe moment, Like, I mean, there were just so many games. He was a guy that no matter what, every night he showed up and gave everything he had. And I always respect that. Like I was talking about earlier with AD, that kind of discipline, that kind of dedication. And as everyone knows, that's not just like, oh, I'm doing it for this moment. That's a life commitment. That's a mission. That's like who you are, to do that every time. And so I really love that. But yeah, I don't know if I really have a favorite one. I mean, this year would be my favorite one.
That's exactly. The last one is the favorite. Like whatever the last one was would probably be most recent. But you played, speaking of Kobe, you played the national anthem before his final game. What memories of that night do you have?
Well, a couple of memories. The first one was that, just playing was fun, and knowing it was Kobe's last game was really weird. Just because, happy for him, but I had treasured, every moment of his playing, and it was sad. But the awful thing was I had committed to doing a fundraiser that night. I can't remember for something, and I had to leave after halftime. So I missed. It was like the second half was when he went off and he got 50, right? So I only saw the first half of that game, and I had a charity work that I'd committed to. But yeah, so
damn it, Flea. Charity, no.
While I have you, I want to ask a music question. I saw on Twitter that you weren't happy that Chuck D was being left off the top list of best rappers of all time. You got to give me your top 5 rappers of all time. Why have you?
My top 5 rappers. Damn. Well, right now I really have to say, like, the history of hip hop is pretty big, and I've been, hip hop. I saw Egyptian Lover and Ice-T in LA in like 1980. Saw Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force in New York around the same time, and I've been watching, paying close attention. I say my favorite rappers. Well, the reason I'm saying that is because, like, I put Kendrick up there. He's just a master. That's a hard question. I put Chuck D up there. I put Rakim up there. I put you have to put Snoop up there.
That's 4.
And this might sound crazy, but KRS-One, BDP, I love BDP. That was
Michelle has heard about two of the
everyone's different.
That's not true. I've heard of all of those people. Thank you very much, Chandler. I just didn't know West Side Connect. Flea, I know we're up against it. Always appreciate the time. Could have you on for 7 hours. Good luck this season.
Thank you very much. It was really nice to see the 3 of you.
The running back.
All right. You know him. You love him. The League, Black Monday. He's got the podcast. How did this get made? But here, we just see you truly as a friend and a psycho Clippers fan, Paul Scheer. And so we need your input.
Not too far off.
How okay, yeah, it's a good title. The game last night, we've seen the little pieces of video, and it seemed like an amazing party. Take us through the vibes and the atmosphere.
Well, look, I feel like it was truly a homecoming for the Clippers in the sense that for many years, we have been the roommate to the Lakers. There's a vibe in Staples Center that never felt like our place. And I feel like coming into this new stadium, which is so futuristic, it's scary. I mean, I'm giving up so much of my own identity to walk in there because everything is faceless, or like your face pays for everything. Like, you don't ever take out your phone or a credit card. You don't know what you're buying because you could just take things off the shelf.
Whoa, what?
Oh,
so
yeah,
wait, it's not even Apple Pay. It's like my face is doing it?
It's by face. When you walk in, they say like, "Oh, hello, Paul," because a camera's already hit your face. They know who you are. You walk in through the door.
That's
when you go into the it is nuts.
Hell?
And again, in any other situation, I would have a major problem with it. But here, I was very excited. I was like, this is brilliant. And I'll tell you, they got it figured out because you go into a gift store and you just take whatever you want, and there's cameras watching you, and they charge you. You get a receipt on your phone after you leave the game.
Did you wait? Did you wait in one line for the bathroom? Is that or there are?
Oh no,
yeah.
There's so many urinals. I think there's a urinal in every seat. You're not. Actually, I think that Bomber has a guy to go to the bathroom for you. That's how futuristic this place is. No matter what.
I'm dying. I'm dying.
But it really is. I think what's so kind of cool about the place is it's beautifully built. It feels like the future, but it's also built to be like a basketball stadium. Like no one's in the hallways. Everyone's watching the game. And that's something that feels really unique. Like when I grew up in New York, so I went to tons of Knicks games. I've been to tons of games at Staples, and everybody's inside. There's no delay. You can get your food. You can go to the bathroom. So you get back inside. That I think is really cool about it. The focus is basketball. It's like a fan-built stadium, and that makes it a little bit different than anything I've ever been to.
No, it's amazing. We got to go check it out. I got an opportunity to tour it. They allowed me to shoot an episode of my podcast in there, so it's amazing. But Paul, let's get into the basketball of it all.
Yes.
Obviously, the Clippers were hoping to have Kawhi last night on opening night. Didn't happen. He's going to miss some time rehabbing that knee. As a fan, how concerned are you?
Here's how I think about it, and I say this with absolute love. I'm not counting on Kawhi. Like, I just want to be like, when it will happen, and that will be it. But, like, to me, it's sort of like, there's this issue. We don't know what it is. It's going to get better. It won't get better. Who knows? So I'm not counting on it. So I'm looking at the team that we actually have right now, which is a really impressive team. There's a lot of good players there. I think we need probably one more person on offense. I can't wait to see if Kawhi comes back, but in my mind, I've written off Kawhi until December, not based on anything, just based on my emotions. I can't go there and allow myself to be like, when is he coming? When is he coming? So if I push it that far away, I feel better about it.
Probably.
It's like when you put something like you pre-order an item and you don't know when it's coming, and then you're surprised. You're like, "Oh, I forgot I ordered." Yeah, I get it.
And look, I know a lot of people are talking badly about Kawhi right now, but I will just remind everybody he played the most games that he has played, I think, since the Spurs last season. He put up amazing numbers. He's dealing with this issue. It's no joke. It's just that's what's going on, there. And so I feel like he wants to play. When he'll play great.
Okay, so I'm glad you have this healthy attitude, and you've made up December as sort of your month. Okay, but here's the thing: Kendrick Perkins, and you're right, we don't know.
Yeah,
Kendrick Perkins has thrown it out there that he thinks maybe he should consider retiring.
All right, well, Kendrick. All right, well, what do I say? I mean, it's Kendrick Perkins. Come on, right? Like everybody who's sitting behind a desk, who hasn't played the game, I think on some level, it's just an unfair what does he think is going to change? This is a guy who wants to play. He has played. I think that when you talk to any of his teammates, they sympathize with it. I think somebody made a point on Twitter the other day, like Kendrick Perkins was putting up 2 points a game in the final couple of years of his career. No one was begging him to retire. I think we're fine. Kawhi's fine. We'll deal with it.
Paul, a GQ article recently came out, and Kawhi basically said he wants to go back to the Clippers instead of to the Raptors or the Lakers to build a legacy. Now, how would you describe this Kawhi era as a Clipper so far?
I think the Kawhi era is an interesting era. Look, there's a lot of energy put around this team. Bomber comes in, we get rid of this this stink of a franchise where we weren't really caring about the players, right? And I think that this has been an evolution, and now this is like the beginning of a new phase. And, you know, with the whole Paul George situation, I think of it like this. Two great people, but the relationship didn't work out. The 2-1-3 era was not perfectly constructed for whatever health reasons, whatever locker room reasons. We don't even know. So Kawhi is a part of this project that we have. I think that Kawhi and Harden work better together overall. But we'll see what happens. You know, I think Kawhi is a great piece. I think if it doesn't work out with Kawhi, there'll be two other superstars that we'll get eventually as well. And I think that part of getting rid of Paul George and not paying him that money this season was to open up that spot for us, to give us some flexibility in the future. And that's, I think, a smart management decision right there. And I love Paul. I'm all in. I'm just saying, but I think when you're looking at the future, I think you can't be investing all this money in the past. We have to also look at like who's coming up.
But did you cuss when you saw the news though initially? That's all I want to know.
No, I didn't. For whatever reason, it felt like it was ready to go. It felt like it was there. It felt like it was going to happen, you know, and there's a lot of these like little talks about it. And again, I am a Paul George fan. I have nothing bad to say of him, but I do feel like we're spending all this time talking about Paul George, but we're not talking about the best pickup of our offseason, Jeff Van Gundy. And I think that that's what you saw last night. You saw this defense of the Clippers in a crazily different way. I mean, that to me, I'll take a Jeff Van Gundy over a Paul George right now because
wow, that's a hot take.
Stop it.
I got some Kool-Aid here. Do you guys want to have some of this Kool-Aid? Clippers Kool-Aid you want?
Look, I like Jeff Van Gundy as much as the next guy.
So you're on that one, Paul.
Yeah, we can clip that, put it out there. James Harden, by the way, you still got James Harden, and last night he was putting up some nice numbers. It'll be interesting to see sort of how he adapts now that Paul's gone, Kawhi is not out there. What are you thinking is going to happen here with him?
I think that last night was really reflective of the type of game we're going to see a lot until we get Kawhi back, right? We have a great team, really strong defense, and they played a really gritty, fun game. Like that was a game where no one left. And, you know, we went into overtime, almost went into double overtime. And the audience, you know, the whole crowd was just standing there and they were into it. So they can compete. Can they close will be the issue. I think that last night we should have closed. I think that with D-Book getting fouled out, we had the chance. I think unfortunately, like Terrence Mann, who I'm a fan of, got a little like frazzled early on because he got these foul calls right out of the gate. And I think if we stay out of foul trouble, we can probably close a little bit better. But when you look at the points, everyone was sharing the ball last night, and Harden was really quiet in the first half, like with 4 points. But then I think by the end of the game had about 28 points. So that was a pretty he stepped up, and I feel like that's what we need there for the Clippers too. And we need that, you know, we need Harden to be special and maybe not take shots past the free throw line. I mean that, you know, again, I don't want to be a Kendrick Perkins here, but I say step back just a little bit more.
The good news is, Paul, they were in position last night to win the game, right? James Harden makes that floater. He makes one of those free throws. Who knows? So I think they did enough to win. And the Phoenix Suns are also a really good team. So considering all this, are the Clippers this year a playoff team, a play-in team? Like after one game, it's early. What expectations do you put on them?
All right. Well, I was this excited to be here because I was thinking about this and I wanted to talk to Lou about this. Like, Lou, you guys had that season, that 2018, 2019 season. And that reminds me of this team right now, which is you have great players that can really play. I think we're going to not come in 13th or whatever people are predicting we're going to come in. I think it's going to be a team that is going to fight. You watch the way that they're playing, and it was fun. And I think the Clippers haven't missed the playoffs. I think they have the longest record in the NBA for not missing a playoff season. So I think we're going to get there. I think it may not be pretty. I don't think it make sense, but we'll see what happens. I think we're going to get maybe another offensive piece, just depending on where Kawhi is. I mean, Kawhi has been out since the last time I was on the show. I think the last time I was on the show in April, he was not out yet, you know, so it was like then that knee blew up and that it's not gone away yet, which is concerning.
Well, you know, the difference between that team and this team is the expectation level, right? Like after the Clippers traded Blake away, they kind of figured, we'll just figure it out. And as players, we didn't look at it like that. We were like, yo, we're more than capable. Let's just go out, let's play as we can, and we'll live with the results. And because of that, we earned the respect of, you know, our fan base. I think the difference between then and now is you've put championship caliber expectations on this team with the superstars you have. You went out and got arguably 3 of the top 10 to 15 players in the league, and you put them all on the same basketball team. And then you go to next year and you add a Russell Westbrook to that as well. You have a super high level expectation. And so I think just what's expected from the fan bases are completely different when you compare the two teams. And, even when we brought over Paul, you got to think SGA was in that deal, and he was one of those guys that was with us. And I'm a big SGA guy. I'm always going to root for him and love him to the death because that was somebody that I worked alongside. I saw the potential. I believed in the potential. Do you, as a fan, do you wish that trade never happened and you wish we still had Shea instead?
Look, you know more than I do in this, but in my opinion, I feel like we definitely got taken for a ride by OKC. I would have said, and I don't know if you could convince somebody like Kawhi, like, hey, just play half a season with with Shea, but play with him and just see what happens, right? And then make a trade based on that. And I feel like if we did that for half a season, I think you would have seen right away that could have been good. But also you go like, oh well, Shea may not have been able to step up and be who he is on that Clippers team under Kawhi, because maybe OKC allowed him to develop in a certain way. It's hard to go back and say what we should have done. I think that the only thing I know that we shouldn't have done is get John Wall. That to me is the biggest mistake that we made, in the sense that I like John Wall, good player, but at that point we traded away Hartenstein, who I thought was actually a bigger part of what we needed as a team. But we made a lot of decisions you can maybe argue that were made by Paul George or forwarded by Paul George. I know there was some talk also about Lawrence Frank making a lot of these decisions or pushing people away. Like, I don't know about that. I'm not in that locker room, but I will say that I like this team. You're right. There's an expectation here that Kawhi is there, but also because Kawhi is injured and you have Harden doing something that he's, Harden, it's a different team right now. We have a bunch of new players. We have a bunch of people that can step up. It's exciting for me to see. And I also love seeing like these new guys like Kai Jones and Jordan Miller coming in and seeing like maybe this is a year where we get to see some real surprises and we develop a new talent here. But last night and in the preseason, I'm seeing a team that plays very differently. And the one thing I want to say about last night that did concern me, no mention of Kawhi, right? The game started off, they mentioned all their reserve players. They mentioned Mo Bamba, right? He's injured. But they didn't mention Kawhi. They didn't put him anywhere. Kawhi didn't say hello. He was on the bench. But I thought that was a really interesting moment. I don't know if that's just Kawhi being Kawhi, like I don't want to say anything. But it was interesting that this is a man whose face is plastered around the entire stadium. And we don't even get there it is. What's going on? We saw Chuck the Condor. We didn't see Kawhi. What's going on?
Something's happening.
That's just K. If you know him, you would understand. Right. He's not even as weird as people label him to be. He's just quiet. If he doesn't know you, he's not very friendly. And that's it. Behind closed doors, if you're cool, he's cool. And it's fun. Like, he's one of the funniest guys I've ever played with. But he has this public persona. People think he's just some weird mute dude, and he's not. It's just...
I like that, though.
I love Kawhi. Like, I just thought it was weird that you open up a stadium and you don't because they introduced every player, every coach, right? And you just don't introduce Kawhi.
Please do the address.
What?
Wow, I didn't know all that. That's interesting.
Mike, thanks for coming out. This is exciting. At least do the address. I get it. Yeah.
Just wave. Or just wave. Like, because it's like they introduced every player. Just have a wave and put him on camera for a second. Only because it's opening night. But I also feel like Kawhi is also like, I'm not on court. I don't want to take focus. Look, it wasn't like we introduced PJ Tucker last night either. So it's like, so like PJ Tucker, Bones, and Kawhi were the only 3 players not mentioned last night. And I don't like that association that he's in that 3.
It is interesting, though. I wasn't thinking about that, but that is very, very interesting. That they acknowledge him or introduce him, even though they're hurt or whatever. But
and he was very active in every kind of huddle and stuff. But so he was there. It just was like I think we wanted to cheer for him, but who knows?
I think we're on to something here.
Yeah,
I think we are. This is 2 conspiracies in one show. We're doing something today, guys.
Yeah, before you came on, we're trying to convince people that Jimmy Butler purposely threw the game because he hates Pat Riley left.
Well, by the way, I want that to be true because I want Jimmy Butler and the Clippers. And But you were right. Like, but you know what? I also think too. It's like you were saying this. It's the first game. It still is a first game, right? The rust is going to be there, and people are going to like. Harden scored 4 points. It was so funny. They have a little shot thing up, on this big, beautiful Halo board that they have, and it was like they were showing the shot making for 4 points. It was pretty upsetting graphic to look at. It was like one basket, one missed shot. I was like, this is not an impressive graphic to see where Harden's hitting. So
motivation.
My last question for you, because I'm very curious and I need to know. I would love asking diehard sports fans this. All time, top 5, who are your greatest Clippers of all time?
Well, I'm gonna look. I'm not kissing ass by saying it. Lou Will's got to be in that mix, right?
So much ass kissing going on right now,
yeah,
Paul.
come
so
on.
Much.
and like for me, the 2 Clippers that made me so excited to be a fan, and I think brought culture to the Clippers organization after years of it kind of being a joke or whatever. I think Pat Bev also is another guy who was a voice and really worked getting a crowd behind it. Like, it was hard. And Lou, you probably know it more than me, but like to get that Staples crowd on your side. And I feel like Pat was a mouth that did that. Like, he got people fired up and spoke a good game. And last night there was no Suns jerseys there, which was great. So that's current. I'm going to say Elton Brand. You can't, Elton Brand is, I think one of those just great players all time. You got to go Bob McAdoo. I know that's like going way, way back, and maybe that's unfair to say, but and then I think you're going to look at, I think the argument is Blake Griffin is, to me, again, another like before and after player. And I think that he's, when you talk about, whose jersey you're going to hang, I think that is a guy that you talk about and you go, yeah, that probably is this transformative player that we had that kind of began a new era. So I do think, Blake should get his flowers there.
You might be the only person to mention Pat Bev as a great Clipper and not Chris Paul. So I'm
not going to mention Chris Paul. No way. I'm going to.
I like this. I mean, No, he's a great Spur.
Hey, look, I like Chris Paul's great. He's not in my top 5, not my top 10.
Damn, he added the 10. All right. Joyful Recollections of Trauma is the name of the book. It's out there wherever you get your books. Paul,
I dedicated it to the Clippers. I did. It's in there. I was able to get a Clippers dedication in there just a little bit. But thank you so much for having me.
No, thanks. Always. Good luck this season. Hope we talk soon.
Definitely. All right. Talk to you later. Bye.
All right. Bye. We'll be back.
Run it back. Run it up. Then run it back. Run it up. Run it back. Run it up. Run it back. Run it up.